the conversation I want to get into is kind of coming back a little bit around the beginning of the journey to now, right? So as you kind of alluded to this already, that early on you had to apply for 38 grants, and then you got one on the 39th. You went through, you've been running this for 4 years, you said, right? 4 years, so for a long period of time, where sometimes, you didn't have a lot of funding, you pay for things yourself, you weren't being paid. To 3-4 years down the line, it's in a better position. That's resilience, right? How do you go about continuing to believe in something when others don't?
I mean, we live in a world of evidence, right? And especially when I'm trying to apply for funding, sometimes they're like, oh, what is the kind of quantitative evidence? Whereas, I mean, when you work with people, sometimes it's not always quantitative evidence that you have. You have qualitative, which to me is equally as powerful, if not more powerful and more transformational. So for me, the evidence that keeps me believing in the work is in the young people, seeing the transformation, seeing the impact it's having in their everyday lives, and seeing like that's so tangible that even when people are telling me it's not a great idea, or people is not thinking they can't continue, because now I'm gonna design Smile and Growth project that's gonna be ready by next year. I'm going to LA this year to pilot Smile and Boys project in North America for the first time. Like, those are things that is because I can see the effect and the impact it's having in London. I can see how many black girls come to me after every session and say, why is it the only black boys having it? We need this too. I'm like, I listen to that. I'm like, that's true. You need that. And I need to give the time for black women to co-design that program together, and that program is ready to be delivered to black girls. So that's something that, again, is so evident to me that need is there, and therefore creating a sensitively designed program to speak to that need. Again, North America, we know that, the black experience over there is also so uniquely contested, and how much that results to things like George Floyd's murder and Trayvon Martin and all of this. So for me, that's something that's always been on my mind, knowing that I need to also do it over there as well. And I'm going to do that this end of the year, but no one's paying for that. I thought, okay, like, I have roots in California. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to go meet with all these schools. I'm going to find corporate sponsors out there or wherever else to make that happen. But the first iteration of it, doing the exhibition there, that's coming from my pocket.
So it's interesting where you're almost going full circle again.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But also, again, admirable that you're willing to go through that again.
Yeah, because I see the results of what happened this first time, and I know that if I didn't do that, nobody would jump on it afterwards. And that's ultimately what it is. I need to go out there, and that's the thing about like faith, not necessarily from like a religious standpoint, but that's how faith works. You have to step out in faith, and then people's like, oh, okay, cool. And I heard this amazing analogy by this rapper that I love called Toby and Wigwe. And it said, you'd be surprised how many people would help you when they see you outside of your car pushing your car forward. But if you're sitting in the car saying my car is broken down, nobody's gonna know that you're pushing the car. So the people are just gonna walk past you. When they see you pushing the car, you'd be surprised how many people will come and join you and say, do you need a hand? And that's what I realized, that you have to take that leap first.
That is, I want to pause on that, because that's such a great analogy. And the reason why I want to pause on that is because I feel like that's what I'm experiencing right now with Creators House. And we had to self-fund it and get it to a position where we're showing something, right? It's a space. Young people are coming here. They're experiencing it. And I genuinely feel like that. It's like I was pushing a car, me and my wife, right? We're pushing a car. And then as soon as it starts to show the impact, then people start coming about, and it's mad how that happens. But going back to the question, so you answered it in regards to almost corporations and brands, right? When they don't believe in you. What about when your family or your friends don't believe in you?
Yeah, man, that's why it's a lonely road. My mother now is like one of the biggest like fans of me now. She like sending like every like Guardian or BBC, she sends it to all her friends, and I'm like, bro, that's not how she started, bro. Like, she didn't really believe in it like that, like she was scared. And I think as I grow older now, I hold a lot of compassion for her, but I realize that it's not, as much as we would love for all our family and our friends to really be biggest cheerleaders of us, it's most likely not going to happen like that. There are odd stories of people's parents that were championing them from the top of the roof and saying, what do you need? I'm going to give you my life savings to do this. There's odd stories, but that's not how the majority goes. So it's recognizing that if you're waiting for them to be the ones to give you the green light, then you probably never do nothing. And it's not because they hate you, and it's not because they don't care for you. You have to realize that fear is such a powerful emotion. And fear withholds people from doing a lot of incredible things. And when you realize that that's what a lot of people respond from, the place of fear, then you know that you cannot rely on people to give you the green light that you need. As long as you have that yourself, it would be great if they're on the bandwagon early, but that should not stop you from pushing what you believe is authentically your own kind of mission or your purpose in life. That's kind of how I look at it. But it's very disheartening. It's very saddening. It's very isolating when people that you really care about are not advocates of what you're doing, at least in the early stages. It could really be the source of your depression even. And also ultimately it can be the source of you not actually living your authentic life. And I know that because I had moments of having those doubts and those feelings of like sadness and emotions that were harking to depression, you know, because the people around me at the time didn't have the level of support that I wish they gave me in the beginning.
Yeah, and that's again such an important message, because that narrative is the same. When once you're kind of pushing the car, then they're gonna jump on board as well. But I had to learn this again very early on. That and in when the time that I learned this, it wasn't even a business. I started putting out some videos on YouTube, right? So it's travel vlogs for fun. It wasn't that. It was just banner. But then like some of my friends weren't watching the videos. And I'm like, yo, like, give me a view, bro.
Right.
That's all I'm asking. Like, give me one view. Like, it's all right. You don't even have to watch the whole thing.
Exactly.
Just watch it for a few minutes and then bounce. Like, give me a view. And some of the boys weren't watching the videos. And then that's where I actually had to, it kind of clicked that sometimes your friends aren't your consumer and they're not your audience. And that's okay, right? Like, I think we need to learn to separate friendship/family with our consumer/client or whatever it is that you're into. So I think a super interesting one. And the more people understand that narrative and don't let it get to them, I think the better.